Ahoy! For this one, I do want to give a little bit of an introduction to explain the context, especially because just the other day in some of the Star Trek costuming groups I'm in, this issue came up, and that is of stolen valor, which is the concept of pretending that you earned military rank or awards that you did not. It was kind of silly how it came up because it was in the context of these specific ribbon racks that were seen in Undiscovered Country and in Generations, which they, resembled real life awards, but were still fictional, and people got up in arms over that. Anyways, excuse me. My point in all of this is, yes, I did make sort of some replica patches of my brain right now, of some patches that were used in World War I in the US Army for play. A few disclaimers here. First of all, this was a play based on real events, based on a real person. The real person was Manuel Cabezas, known as El Isleño. Very interesting story in Key West history. If you look it up though, I want to let you know that he was the victim of racially motivated violence. So if that's something you don't want to read about, then maybe don't look him up. Anyway, based on a real person, I'm kind of using air quotes and saying sort of made them because this was limited in every aspect. This project, budget, time. We wanted to get vintage patches, and for some of them we were able to, but then for others we didn't have access to somebody with an embroidery machine. My cat just opened the door on me. Only fabric store between Key West and Miami was a very small, limited quilting shop, so it was a lot of creative problem solving, but then, from the audience, from the stage, it looked really nice. So this is for that kind of limited, finding a solution for doing something that's, when you have your Tim Gunn make it work moment. So if anyone has an issue with that, there's my explanation. I would like to circle back to this concept of stolen valor though, especially how it applies to performance costuming, cosplay. It is a legal issue, but from a legal standpoint, it only applies to trying to get something tangible out of pretending to impersonate military personnel. It does not apply to simply wearing this. Whether you think that's unethical, that's another issue, but legally, manner of dress is theoretically considered protected speech. Now I say theoretically because we have some laws trying to work their way into the fabric of our lives that are banning drag, which is a whole other problematic issue, but theoretically, manner of dress is protected speech. But without any further word vomit and explanation, here is how I figured out my pieced together, patchy, zero budget, zero resources, how to emulate a few service chevrons to be worn on a World War I army jacket for a play.
Very simple materials: felt, some bias tape, and embroidery floss. Messed around with a piece of paper to try to get the chevron shape I wanted. Took a few tries, as you can see, but once we had it, it was on to the honorable discharge chevron, which was just bias tape sewn onto that felt backing. The overseas service chevron, I layered up the felt before I embroidered over it by hand. That color was actually the closest I could find to a metallic gold. It did end up looking okay on stage though, so it's just a satin stitch and then a simple back stitch around the edge. And you will see them on the jacket along with the vintage pieces we were able to get. Briefly, there's the engineer patch, and you can see a little bit of the ribbon rack. Finally, this is how it looked on stage. Sometimes you do have to realize the scale and distance of what you'll be creating. Anyways, if you enjoyed this, be sure to like and subscribe to see more sewing related content.